All right. Good morning, Natisha.
Morning.
All right. So you all heard the recording is on. I see the
Yes.
recording at the top of at the top of the page. All right. So good morning, everybody. My name is Halona Black. This is our Wednesday AM Mindful Journaling Circle. This is where we take different topics of the week and we use meditation and journaling as a way to be able to help us move through the week with grace and ease. Today, we're talking about slow living and what it might look like for us. But as always, I always like to start off with a short meditation just to be able to ground us into the space. So, what I normally do with meditation is I cut off the video so that we can sort of focus on ourselves rather than what's on the video. And we're just doing something sort of simple today. Meditation isn't necessarily meant to be complicated. So whenever you need a moment of peace, you can always offer that to yourself. You don't necessarily need to transport yourself to someplace else. You just need to be able to go within yourself and if you can just sort of feel like your energy just start to go down into place. Pay attention to what your shoulders are doing. If you can sort of just let the tension in your shoulders, just let the tension in your shoulders just start to melt away for a minute. Your shoulders and your neck, just let the tension decrease naturally on its own. If there was any anxiety or any stress, you can just sort of visualize in your head that stress just sort of moving further and further away from your shoulders and your neck. And we're breathing normally, breathing at your own pace. And we're just letting our shoulders drop. That's it. And as you feel your shoulders start to drop, perhaps your posture will start to fix up just a little bit, but still quite comfortable in your seat. So there's no efforting here. There's no efforting. We're just sitting and breathing. Just allowing the stress and the tension to melt away on its own. Let's take in one last intentional breath. Breathe in and breathe out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And you can cut your video back on if you choose to. So good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see your shining faces. Good morning, Miss Carolyn. I didn't say good morning to you.
Good morning.
Morning, morning.
So today we're talking about the slow living as a general topic. So I wanted to look it up because slow living is something that is a term that I hear on the internet sometimes. And just wanted to I understood, I can sort of figure out what it means conceptually, but I just wanted to sort of understand what it means, I guess, using popular terms on the internet. What are people talking about? And so I kept finding this references to like to the Italian slow food movement, which is strange. It's like they just sort of like nobody was moving slow until the Italians showed up. Which is just weird. And it's not that Italian people don't move slowly, or they don't have elements of their culture that does move slowly. But as I always think about, the indigenous cultures have been talking about and moving slowly, since forever. And whenever excuse me, whenever I think about slow moving or slow living or slow food, and it's just this bias for whiteness strikes again. Absolutely, it doesn't make sense. Whenever I need to remember anything that's, sort of what is natural, what to going back to natural ways, I always think of my village that I lived in Peace Corps. In particular, thinking of slow living, I remember there's this huge mango tree in the center of the village. And this was a space in the village where people would gather. Like it was a literal gathering spot because of course it's village. There's not, big buildings and things like that. And so people would use this space, particularly in the middle of the afternoon when it was really hot, and people would just break and they would just go and sit under the mango tree, and they would, during mango season, it was nice because, you had mangoes to eat. So people would show up with a knife, or they would just take up the biggest juicy ones and just eat free mangoes for everybody. Or they would just nap, like literally. They would just sit under the mango tree, find a spot on the ground, and just nap. Now, usually this was just men. Women were elsewhere. The women were elsewhere, but even they had elements of slow living because women's lives tend to be a lot busier. So if you can go to like the different compounds where the families were, you would see women gathered around and they might be doing some work to be able to prepare for dinner. And so they would be, cleaning beans or, doing something with mushrooms, or like getting the corn together, because they would make this meal called la pâte, which is made of corn. And so, you have to take the corn and like separate it and make sure that it was clean and ready for cooking. And while they were doing all of this work, they were also checking in with each other. Like this was yeah, it sounds like shucking peas in the South. Absolutely, it does. I was just cleaning green beans yesterday, and I was remembering snapping green beans with my great grandma in the summer. But the ladies would use this time to be able to check in with each other. How are your children doing? They would, what's the gossip, for the day? You know, who said what about who? You know, who did they see coming through the village? You know, it was their way of being able to check in on one another and make sure, are you okay? Are you here? Are you available? Is there anything wrong? Can I help you with anything? That's what slow living means to me when I think about it. And so there's probably some version of that in probably every indigenous culture that you can think of around the world. So I don't understand why Italians are the only people that are thought to have a slow living sort of a culture. And so generally speaking, I just wanted to bring our attention, three general elements of slow living as I see it. There are probably others. These are just three that I thought were important. Number one is mindfulness and presence, which encourages living in the moment and being present with our surroundings. And this presence enhances our appreciation for what we have, as well as increasing gratitude. So one of the things that I remember, Tish brought up the example of shucking peas in the summertime. Another example that I remember from my own family is my dad making sun tea in the summer. We had Kool-Aid too. Now Kool-Aid was the fast way to be able to do things, you know, with the powder and the sugar, and you put it in the refrigerator and you could have a cold drink real fast. But my dad used to love to make sun tea. And so he would get up early in the morning before work. He would, put the tea bags in the water in a glass jar, put it on top of his car. And there was a old car on the side of the house that we lived in. And he would leave it there all day. And I would be just real fascinated in the summertime with just looking at it. The tea just brew in the summer. And it was fun to be able to have him come home and then he, take the tea bags out and mix it with something else. Something else that he found on the side of the house. I'll have to ask him what some sort of a green something, maybe mint or something like that. With sugar, and then we have to wait until the next day for it to be ready because it had to cool, of course. You never heard of sun tea, Miss Carolyn? Oh, really? I thought everybody had sun tea. But yeah, we would make sun tea. That's probably one of my favorite. Like even now, like the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I rarely ever buy iced tea when I go out, but I just had a taste for tea, so I just bought some sweetened tea in a bottle, just because it made me remember that. Like meditation for kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard of it as a tea infusion.
Uh-huh.
Never heard that name, sun tea. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we would do that all the time. A second element is quality over quantity, where we emphasize the value of experiences over possessions. And the reason why is because we want to be able to prioritizing quality leads to more meaningful and fulfilling experiences. So if you compare, if you go to work and you might have a rushed lunch during the week, compared to a more deliberate lunch on the weekend. So on the weekends, even for myself, and I work at home, the lunches that I eat during the week are different from the lunches that I prepare on the weekend. So on the weekend, I'll think about what it is that I want to be able to make. I got to have a particular ingredient that I need to have and be able to figure out who sells it and figure out how much it costs and, do I have to prepare it? Do it like I'm making beans, black beans. And so I always make my beans from scratch. I never buy canned beans. So beans always have to be soaked the day before, at least in my kitchen and do. So things require preparation. I could just go out and just buy a can of black beans, but the experience and the taste for me is not the same. And so making sure that I have time to be able to prepare food in the way that I want to is my way of prioritizing quality over quantity for me. And then thirdly is simplicity and reduce stress. Slow living reduces stress by simplifying life. And so by removing any sort of unnecessary clutter, we get to create a more peaceful existence. So one of the things that I've been realizing is that I have a lot of digital clutter, which is causing a lot of issues with it's causing a lot of issues with my own sense of creativity and how much I'm able to just be able to think in general. And so what I did this past weekend was I sat through my Google Docs, which is a file organizing system that I have, and I just deleted a bunch of stuff because I just had folders on top of folders on top of folders of ideas. Some things were like repeated. And so what I saw is I would have the same idea over several months at a time, sometimes a couple of years. And rather than move on the idea, I would just write it down again. And so I just need to be able to get rid of it and put it someplace where I can actually use it. Carolyn says, you just stepped on my toes. Today is my declutter day. So yeah, I had to, you know, the internet and the way that we do things with the internet and how we save things. It's nice to be able to have, but sometimes it could just be sort of too much. So we need to be able to declutter so that our brains could actually work with it. So generally speaking, if anybody else wanted to be able to share, are there any other parts to slow living that I'm missing?
I just wanted to share that when I visited Milan
Mm-hmm.
and it came time for us to take a nap, I was visiting my daughter. She was in the Air Force. And we were at the farmer's market and we got this chicken stuffed with oregano and everything. Everything was smelling so good. Everything was so colorful. And I was hyped up. I wanted to see everything. Like, no, we have to go to sleep now. Like, what? And it took a while for me to wind myself down. But once I got into it, I really looked forward to that nap.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The nap is made in the day. And even when I went to Africa, that was a hard thing for me to get to. I'm like, the day is already slow, and then we're gonna have a nap at noon. The stores would close for 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, what is this? Because I was just used to just constant, yeah, in the hottest part of the day
Yes.
because it was just too hot to move.
She's like, my daughter said, I don't know what you're going to do because everybody's sleeping. I'm like, all right now.
Yeah, Americans have to learn how to sit down. It's okay. Is there any other parts of that I'm missing? Or do you think is it possible for us to be able to adopt a slow life in the United States or whatever your home country is?
Can you run back through those 4 parts?
Oh, sure. The three parts that I have are: one, mindfulness and presence. Number two is quality over quantity. And then number three is simplicity and reduce stress.
I think that it takes a lot more intention depending on what your current lifestyle is, especially if you live in the United States. Most of my life have lived in the United States, and slowing down was so much more intentional for me there. Living in a different area now, it comes a lot more natural, and I don't have to be as intentional. but I think it's because the change in my lifestyle, really.
Mm-hmm. The change in the lifestyle.
Yeah, the all around lifestyle is just much slower. I have much more domestic help. So it allows me the space to slow down. Whereas in the United States, I had to be much more intentional about that.
Mhm. The domestic help is nice. I didn't really
Yes,
get domestic help until I left the States.
yes.
That is nice to be able to have. And then when you tell sometimes when you tell people that you have help, at least for a lot of the women that I speak to, there it's like, you haven't done anything to deserve any help. Like you, particularly as a single person who doesn't have any children. What do you need help for? And I'm just like, it's just not, just to be able to have somebody come and help me with, cleaning and just arranging. It just helps me out. It helps my brain out to be able to press the reset button on what it is that I'm doing. And I just feel like I get more done that way. I could probably do it on my own but I don't want to. Kathy, did you want to say something?
Yes, so I think it was over this weekend, getting my days mixed up. Um, but I think reducing stress, it might follow under this, is living slowly. For me, I'm experiencing having to be patient, and waiting for things to happen instead of making things happen, and what I realize is people around me, they're not stressing about very simple things where
Mhm.
I'm thinking I have to organize, I gotta, be on top of it. I've gotta make it happen. I've gotta, be proactive. And nobody else, I'm looking around, nobody else is sweating it, and so I realized that, and I check myself, and yeah, like I need to change this. This is what I need to do. This is actually part of the reason why I'm living in a different culture. Um, is to do something new, learn
Mhm.
something new, and being patient and being helps, I believe, comes under the reducing stress.
Mhm.
But yeah, I couldn't think of another category for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's important to be patient. Americans don't like to be, we don't
Mm-mm.
like to be patient at all. But especially when we go to another culture, to be patient with yourself and learning what it is that the culture is around you. Let's see, Christine asks mindfulness and the three categories is the mindfulness and presence, quality over quantity, and the third one is simplicity and reduced stress. Okay, so I have our three journaling prompts for today. Number one, and then I'll say it and then I'll put it in the chat so that we all have it. Number one is to list 5 simple activities that bring you joy and explain why. List 5 simple activities that bring you joy and why. Okay, if anyone is ready to share, I'd be interested in hearing one or a few of all of your simple activities that bring you joy and why.
Okay, I think I'll go first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my 5 simple activities are reading, walking, writing, swimming, and minding my business. And they bring me joy because there's something I can do for myself. I'm the eldest of 5, always been responsible for my siblings. Of course, now I'm married, I have a family. So there's always been, you're always responsible and looking out for others. But whenever I'm able to do those things, I know those are things I'm doing just for me. That's
Mhm,
my selfish time and I my self time.
mhm.
And so that's why they bring me joy. Yes, ma'am.
I love it. Nothing wrong with selfish time. I love it.
No.
Everyone has to have it.
Yes.
Thank you, Christine.
I'll go.
Yes.
And I realize all of the things I have are things I did as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So laying on the floor, listening to music,
Mm-hmm.
paint by number, walking with friends, going to the Sunday market with friends, and watching movies.
Mm-hmm. All things really simple. And yeah, you're right. The things that you love to do as a kid are usually the things that you love to do as an adult. So it's good that you can tap into those things. 'Cause I think when we become adults, we start to forget what it is that we enjoyed as children.
Yes. Yes. Very true.
Hmm.
And the simplicity. It's like we complicate things over
Yeah.
time.
Overcomplicate things.
Hmm. I
Okay.
used to really love
Yeah.
riding my bike when I was a kid. I should probably do that.
There's
Yeah.
there's
Good
a
idea.
Yeah.
You could ride that bike right there downstairs.
I did. I also lived like a neighborhood that was sort of off to itself, so there wasn't a lot of traffic and things. It was a very small black neighborhood in the middle of a really white town. And so it had big wide streets. And so I was able to, you get up in the summertime at 7, 8 in the morning, and you don't come home until the streetlights come on.
Hmm.
Riding your bike all around the neighborhood. So that was fun. Maybe I should do that.
I wrote visiting bodies of water,
Mhm.
reading and sleeping outside,
Hmm.
long, luxurious, fragrant baths, lively conversations about ways of being, health, and traveling.
Did you say sleeping outside?
Mhm.
How do you do that in New York?
Find a safe place. Like I don't ride the trains anymore, but I used to sleep on the train.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Hey, I
You're
wouldn't
very
sleep on the
brave.
I wouldn't sleep on the A train, like I choose what train it's gonna be, you know. But there are trains where you can get a nice peaceful nap, except for
Okay.
I don't take the train anymore.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah. And so now they have these express buses that most people don't want to take because it costs twice the fare,
Mhm.
possibly triple, but I'm a senior, so I get half off. And from my neighborhood, I can go all the way to Manhattan on a nice air-conditioned bus,
Okay.
so,
That's nice.
it's a little day trip. I went to, where did I go this week? Oh, I went to Metropolitan Museum of New York
Oh,
um
nice.
this week, and yeah, by bus.
That's nice.
Mhm.
I thought you meant camping, and I was like, "Oh yeah," but that's not what you meant.
Now, I don't do camping.
Our video is frozen for a
I
second.
went camping one time. First time camping I can't win with, you know. But yeah, I'm extremely citified. But but I do like, you know, the parks. They're beautiful spaces in parks to just zone out. I mean, you can't go all the time. So you have to find, matter of fact, I found a park that has a labyrinth. So I'll be able to walk the
Nice.
labyrinth soon, right here in Brooklyn.
Miss Carolyn,
Yeah.
something that I don't know if you talk about this anywhere. But you know that there's a lot of folks in cities who don't know how to create this for themselves.
I
And you're
know.
the only
Because
person
I
I
usually
know.
have to travel alone because the people, they don't they don't think that's gonna be fun or something. I don't know what it is. Because I even did a meetup for labyrinth walking, and that was not even outside. That was at Marble Collegiate Church. They have this wonderful marble labyrinth. And strangers came. A couple of friends came, but my friends, my dear friends, they don't. So, you know, I'm a loner for most of the time. I go batting about and finding new things, tell them the story, they get excited, and they still don't go. But they
That's
don't
usually
realize
how it works.
it's a gift. Yeah, but it's, you know, it's a lot of work for them to be living in the stress they're living with.
Yes.
I have friends that sometimes I don't even want to call because it's going to be like they live with illness,
Mhm,
you know, and so that's their conversation.
mhm.
And then there are friends when I'm in my health conscious communities, they're a little bit more adventurous, but they're doing things. They're doing things. So they have their own agenda, you know?
Mhm.
But I'm an only child, so I don't mind.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll go because you guys have inspired me. So you said 5 things. As you all are talking, I keep adding to this list. But I think that I think we share a lot of the same things, like being outside, walking. I love to dance. I always have. I still love to dance. I love music, listening to music. I love being able to take naps. I don't get to take naps very often, but when I do, oh my goodness, this is like a gift from the gods. So I love napping. I love playing. I still like to play. So I have the gift of a young granddaughter now, and we play. And there's so much joy in that. And I can still run. I can still get on the floor. I can still roll around, and we have a lot of fun and laughing. Laughing is just it's everything to me. And then daydreaming. I used to, like Tish said, a lot of this stuff is like from when you were a kid. I don't allow myself to daydream very often because when it's like instead of daydreaming, it becomes like trying to plan, trying to worry, trying to control, kind of do this. But daydreaming is just really very fun, and I enjoy that a lot. And anything that have to be around animals. I love horses. I love dogs. I don't have either. I don't get to be around uh, very often, but when I do, it's an amazing experience. And recently, I added something. It's like sometimes when you subtract, you need to add, or when you add, you need to subtract. And so I had an experience recently of being in Cuba and came back and was introduced, and so my life was just transformed in so many different ways. But now I have an altar to my ancestors, and being able to spend a few minutes in front of that altar, and I have coffee on there, and I buy fresh flowers and I change it up. Today I put some peanuts on there, and just to acknowledge my ancestors, because we never did that in my home, so we not the ancestors. So that's really important. But just like Carolyn was saying, one of the things why I'd like to do these things is because there's no outcome that I'm looking for. I just do them for the sake of doing them, and I don't need other people to do them. So I'm like you, Carolyn. I'm an only child. I never had to have company, and when you say people like you wanna come and do stuff like we said, like go to the museum, you want to go ice skating, it's like 30 hours to figure out, can you go? Do you want to go? Can you go? I don't have time for that.
Yes.
So okay, I just go. I just go. I have a few friends. Tisha's one of them is like, you want to go? It's like, yeah. So and it's really simple and easy. But I love this topic. And thank you guys for helping me remember some of the things that I have forgotten that still bring me a lot of joy.
Sounds good, only child. And don't forget the packed snack for the joints.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hi, everyone. I can go next.
Yes, Ruth.
Yeah. This is my first time with the group, which I'm having a lot of fun. So I put down my husband. I feel supported. He helps me grow, and we do laugh together. So I love that. Gardening slows me down. It allows me not only to plant seeds or plant whatever it is that I want to grow, but just even watching them grow, picking out the weeds, and then just having that opportunity to really enjoy the beautiful colors that I see from them. Being outdoors, like some of you shared, I enjoy the sun, especially when it's summertime. That's like my favorite time, or spring. I enjoy just the air that I feel, or even when I get an opportunity to go to the ocean, just marveling at how beautiful the colors are and just how the marine layer feels on my skin. I enjoy being in community, so meditating. I feel the sense of belonging, and just this opportunity to be able to share. And then lastly, I really enjoy watching my daughter grow. She's 20 years old, and there's just this excitement when she gets involved in clubs or is with friends or is part of a meeting, and I could just see the smile on her face, and that really makes me happy. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You came from the Saturday, our Saturday
The
meditation.
mindful, MBSR, community group,
Cool. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that
Oh,
you're
my
here.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Let's see, it's 7:44. So we'll move on to the second question. Reflect on a day when you prioritize quality over quantity. How did it make you feel? Reflect on a day when you prioritize quality over quantity. How did it make you feel? All right. Anyone would like to share? Reflect on a day when you prioritize quality over quantity, and how does it make you feel?
I would.
Yes.
So I work as a coach for a company, and it's required that I see a certain number of clients every week, usually every day. Well, not really every day, every week. And so a few months ago, I found out about a dance class that I wanted to take. And I blocked off my calendar so that it would like force me to see clients, just readjust my schedule so that I could make room for this dance class. And then recently there's a swim class that I wanted to take last week, actually. And I canceled a client, rescheduled a client so I could take this swim class. And both times it just made me feel, I think about this church phrase, in decency and in order. Like it just made me feel like I was doing things that, I was in order. Like I had my priorities together. Like, like I'm supposed to be living my life. Like life is not just for working, it's also for living. And it made me, it just made me feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And surprisingly, the clients just filled in the other days. Like it wasn't a big deal. Still was able to make hit the number, and able to do the things that I actually want to do, when I want to do them. So yeah, it felt really good.
I love that, because jobs will certainly make you feel like if you don't always prioritize their priority, then the world is going to collapse.
Well, and you know what's interesting about that? For the past 6 years, I've been very fortunate to have remote jobs where I can create my schedule. And even with having a job where they don't care, get the work done. Like we don't care how you do it, what time you do it, like none of that. I still found myself trying to force things to happen in a certain, and it was like, you actually have more freedom than you give yourself credit for. And it's no longer, like, for me at least, it's like, it's not the job, it's you. It's you. And so just recognizing that, oh, I could, like, I can make it work. Like I can maneuver. I have more control than I gave myself credit for.
We do have more control than we think that we have. Sometimes you're lucky that you've been able to arrange your life around the things that you want. Anyone else?
I would like to share.
Yes, the time.
I felt guilty at first. And after I got over feeling guilty about not using the time, like I even planned to have some quality time. And so I was like, after I worked through that, and I just started, because it was a day of relaxing. I was just relaxing, not necessarily doing anything. And then it started to feel very normal, to the point that I make sure every week or a couple of times a week, I plan for some time where I'm just chilling, not necessarily doing anything, not having to create anything or do any work or anything like that. So now it's just natural. I don't feel guilty about it anymore.
Yeah, we have to give ourselves permission to be able to enjoy our time and space. Sometimes we let the outside world tell us what our priorities are, and then if we want to veer from that a little bit, we start to make ourselves feel guilty. We start to tell ourselves stories that don't make sense anymore.
Yeah,
Anyone else want to share what their, we can do
I'll
one more?
share.
Sure.
I'll share. It's probably about, I would say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been practicing getting rid of things like true things, material things. And I'm a big lover of shoes and had held on to a lot of shoes over the years. I hadn't worn them, but sounds like a confession or something. I hadn't worn these shoes, a lot of them, and so I started ridding myself of them, making it a priority to downsize the closet, so to speak. So I chose to get rid of more shoes that were, I guess, faddish, and that I hadn't worn, and keep the ones that were comfortable and made my feet happy and made my body happy. Because there are a lot of shoes you wear and you're like, why did I put these on today? You know they don't feel good. And so I started taking account of that. So now I'm down to probably a good, maybe 4 pair of shoes total. Yes, maybe 5, including the ones that I put on to walk around the house or indoors. So, and it made me feel accomplished and made me feel good. Like I done something for myself that was really important, to get rid of things like that that weren't useful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's nice to be able, especially when because you traveled from one country to another, just to be able to get rid of that. It's such a load off of your mind to be able to get rid of all of that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Just to take the clutter away and not have to, yeah, have another bag of shoes, a dedicated shoe bag.
Because I tend to pack the clutter with me, even with all of the stuff that that I get rid of. There's still a bunch of clutter, like things that I still don't want to be able to get rid of. I have a bag just full of stuff because I don't necessarily have anywhere to put it in the apartment that I have now. So it's just sitting in the bag, just doing nothing. Like why? I can't enjoy it. I don't even remember what's in there until it's time for me to move to the next place. Um, so why, I don't know, why do I keep it in there? I need to get rid of some more stuff. I'll give you the last question. Write about a time when slowing down helped you see something you might have otherwise missed. Write about a time when slowing down helped you see something you might have otherwise missed. All right, we're close to being out of time. So if anybody wants to share what they've written, I would love to hear it before we close the circle out.
I just quickly, I learned 2 years ago about walking meditation and using your senses to see things, but hear things. And ever since then, I've been noticing things like in my former apartment complex, flowers that I'd never seen before, but they'd been there for a while.
Mhm.
Or hearing early morning birds that I'd never heard before until I started recognizing, and then that repeated pattern. So yeah, that's it.
It's always nice to have a surprise to see things like flowers, the beauty that's been sitting in front of your face for a while, and you never notice it until you actually notice it. Anyone else? I know for myself, I tend to walk around with my earphones in my ear. And just because I tend to be a clumsy person, I think I walk down with my head looking at where I'm stepping. But sometimes I'll remember to just take the earphones out and just sort of pay attention. And especially living in different cities and different countries, you'll notice stores or, things that you were looking for, things that would be helpful to you. Like, oh, I never even saw that restaurant. That's this restaurant. I've been looking for this type of restaurant, since I've gotten here, and it's, literally 3 blocks down the road. Like I'd found a really nice a fruiteria around the corner from me, and they sell all the fruits that I could ever want, fruits and juices, and never saw the thing. Never saw the thing. I saw the bigger stores, but didn't see the fruiteria that was sitting right there, ready to be of service, and ready for me to take my money. Anyone else? All right. Well, it is the top of the hour. So thank you all so much for joining me today. For people who watch the recording, I do post these on YouTube. And so if you are watching the recording and you want to join the circle, you're welcome to join the circle. You can just hit the link in the description and put in your name and email address, and you will get an update on all of our Wednesday circles, as well as anything else that I have going on. So thank you so much. I appreciate seeing you all. And I will see you
Yes,
next
ladies, have a beautiful week.
Thank you too.
Thank
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.